Chapter 9. She is not dead yet, though her vitals do suggest. Periphery! I tried to catch her. Theo was faster. He launched himself out of the truck and slid behind her just in time to stop her head from cracking against the ground. I owed him a rawhide. I scrambled out of the truck behind him, laid her out on the ground. She looked bad, blood all down her side and arm, probably internal damage. How was I supposed to help her? First aid. Hospital. Right. I had a kit in the truck. Theo, watch. Call for me if she gets worse or wakes up. He huffed in assent and plonked his head down on her chest. All right, then. I dug the kit out from under the shotgun seat and returned as quickly as I could. No change. I got the kit open and grabbed a roll of bandages. Bandages didn't expire, right? Screw it. Better this than nothing. I packed gauze into the wound on her arm and wrapped it as tightly as I dared. Her face would occasionally pinch with pain when I jostled her too much. She didn't wake up. Theo had started whining and licking her face. Did he remember the dogfights? Did he think Piper was dying? Holy hell, I was not cut out for this reassurance crap. I started on the wound in her side. Gauze and bandages, but I pressed too hard. Piper came to with a scream. I barely avoided screaming myself. I did drop the bandage roll. Theo barked twice. That caught Piper's focus, and her head lolled towards him. No, I needed her eyes on me. Piper! Her brow scrunched. I slid my hand under her cheek and tipped her head towards me. She'd started to shiver. Piper. Periphery. I need you to stay alive until we make it to a hospital. If there's any way you can, die slower, do it. Her head twitched in a nod, spastic cousin. Her lips started to move, and I had to lean in to hear her. Won't come up till you say to. What was she talking about? I leaned back. She looked deep into my eyes. Whatever she saw satisfied her, and she gave me another of those twitchy nods. Then she went limp. Fresh corpse limp. I freaked out, but the blood flow slowed. Didn't stop. I fumbled for her pulse. Looked at her face. Her heart was still beating, shallow and slow. Her eyes... Oh, I remembered. I hadn't seen her drop into these trances much. Her dorm mates, on the other hand, complained at length about hanging out in Piper's room only for her to decide she'd had too much interaction. She'd do her best, but if she hit her limit, she'd fall over in a near-perfect imitation of a corpse. The first time it had happened, poor Jetset's scream had woken the entire campus. Piper'd given a demonstration to the whole class after that incident. I'd gotten stuck on her eyes. Huge pupils staring at nothing. Belladonna eyes. You didn't forget eyes like those. No time to look this gift horse in its creepy, creepy mouth. I finished my slapdash first aid job and scooped Piper into my arms. She felt too light. Cold. It's just the trance. She's alive. She'll be fine. Theo was freaking out in the background. I whistled at him. He looked in my direction, but it was clear he was focused on pipes. Theo, she's fine, I said. Just conserving energy. I'm putting her in the back. You're in charge of making sure I know of any changes, okay? Do not take your eyes off her. He barked a yes and launched himself into the rear. I followed behind more carefully and laid Piper on the bench seat. Don't think about dead bodies. Don't. That was damn hard when she was so lax and bloody. The closest hospital was 40 minutes away. I got us there in 20. It was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I parked without paying attention to the lines and rolled down the windows. Piper hadn't moved beyond what centripetal force had managed. I picked her up as carefully as I could and told Theo to stay. Then I ran. I'm sure I looked like a lunatic when I burst into the ER. Limp, bloody body in my arms? Check. More blood smeared all over my front? Check. Wild expression? Check. Screaming Spanish and English at the top of my lungs? Check. Socorro! Ayudenla! Help! She needs help, please! I kept yelling variations on that theme as orderlies closed in. I almost punched the first that tried to take her. The sight of the stretcher shocked me out of it. I let them transfer her, then raced after them. They buzzed around her in a well-practiced dance. As the numbers came back, they grew more agitated. Heart rate is... Try again! Need a transfusion. BP should not be this low. No optic nerve response. Check for head trauma. The trance was throwing their numbers off. I yelled over the clamor, Piper, wake up! She did. She also screamed and took a swing at an orderly, which was fair. A great deal of surprised yelling followed. In the chaos, one member of the group took me aside and started the standard ER interrogation. Name? Piper Croswell. What happened? Accidentally got shot. They were aiming for someone else. How many bullets? 2. One in the arm and one in the side. I think they lodged in her. When? Half an hour-ish. Caliber? No idea. Any pre-existing conditions? None I knew of. Any known allergies? No. Medications? No. What was the deal with the trance? A fun party trick. Slowed everything down. She thought it'd buy time. What was my relationship to her? Husband, etc. I felt no guilt about the little white lie regarding our marital status. Somebody needed to be in the room with Piper so she wouldn't disappear from notice. A husband had that privilege. A high school classmate did not. The lack of rings had any number of explanations. I tried to follow Piper into the surgery suite. A stern nurse with the kind of face that could have been any age between 50 and 80 stopped me at the door. We argued, but she was very good at her job. I left in a huff, with the nurse calling after me that my wife would be out of surgery in 2 hours if things went well. I stormed back to my truck, but was interrupted at the door. Someone on the hospital staff had called the cops. It was the right thing to do, considering the bullets and the woman currently on the operating table. That didn't mean I was happy about getting accosted on my way out. The fact that I'd been the one to haul Piper in meant I was a suspect. The fact that I'd been hysterical upon my entrance and had applied for state meant I was at the bottom of the list. Nobody even bothered taking me to this station. They just commandeered an available meeting room and started asking questions. A few pointed answers alleviated any remaining suspicion. As far as anyone knew, my lovely wife and I had been walking our dog down Short Street when we heard gunshots from the pizza place. We'd headed back to our vehicle as fast as we could, but a couple stray bullets had caught poor Pipes. I kept a first aid kit in the truck, and I'd bandaged her up as best I could before hauling ass over here. Short, sweet, and mostly true. The best kind of lie, if you asked me. I didn't have the energy to pay my interrogator any mind beyond the bare minimum. I wanted to pace. I wanted to break someone's nose. I wanted to sleep until Piper woke up. My answers were brusque to the point of rudeness. I'm pretty sure the poor schmuck saddled with my interrogation sensed my anxiety. He let me go with a promise to get in touch if he had further questions. My gratitude was smothered by the fact that the interview had taken the better part of an eternity. It took a lot of effort to refrain from slamming the door on my way out. I'd have to intercept Piper and brief her on our story. Not too hard, considering I didn't plan to leave her alone for more than an hour at a time, once she was out of surgery. Had it been 2 hours yet? I checked my phone. Not even close. My outfit had gone stiff with Piper's blood. I needed a change of clothes, and something to eat, and drink. So did Theo. And I needed to charge the truck, and call in a favor. Theo's head was hanging out the window when I came back to the truck. A little girl with bows on the end of her pigtails was jumping up, trying to pat his nose. Her mom was yelling at her to step away from the dog, but her hands were full with a new baby. Theo was making things worse by trying to lick the girl's fingers. I had to step in and defuse the situation. Theo was happy, but he got to hop down and be fawned over by a child. His world was good. Meanwhile, I had to come up with lies about why his face was all scarred up and reassure the kid that no, the scars didn't hurt him anymore. Dealing with that took way too long. I was more than ready to fall over by the time the mom led her daughter away. Theo barked in my ear as I climbed into the driver's seat. Stupid dog. He kept barking until I told him, Pipes is fine. They're doing surgery on her right now. We'll have a prognosis in a couple of hours. Do you want a burger for dinner or not? That shut him up. I thumped his side in acknowledgement. I found a halfway decent dog-friendly motel a few miles away and left Theo in a room. Getting crappy fast food killed some time. Didn't do enough. Theo tackled me after dinner. Wanted to wrestle. I knew what he was doing. Appreciated it. The hospital called me 20 minutes before I'd expected it. Piper's surgery was over. She was doing well. Would I like to come in and see her? I was out the door before my shoes were on all the way. I parked with more caution this time. Found a charger, too. Considering how much battery we'd burned with the day's stunts, it was really necessary. I came in through the main hospital entrance at a reasonable pace. The receptionist directed me to the correct ward. I headed right there. Piper's room appeared empty. Common sense told me that she was on the bed. The bed was probably in the center of the room. I walked forward carefully, bumped my knee on it. It appeared, but Piper still hovered just out of perception. I pulled up a chair, ran my hand along the sheets until I touched her fingers, squeezed her hand. She appeared all at once, asleep naturally, not in a trance. If I ever saw her forced into one of those again, it would be too soon. Her pallor was back past square one. I raised the back of my free hand to her head. Warm. Budding infection? Gunshot wounds are filthy. Intestinal damage is worse. The IV in her elbow was probably pumping her blood full of antibiotics. Come on, Perry, I whispered. Wake up soon. Theo's worried. I think he blames me. Don't let me wake up to a gift in my sheets. You don't want that on your conscience. Right, pretty Perry? Nothing from Pipes. A noise from behind me startled me into whirling around. A smiling young woman, blue scrubs. Name badge said Crystal, RN. The name suited her. "You're the husband?" she asked. I nodded. That must have been a sufficient response. "Mrs. Piper is doing well," Nurse Crystal said, moving into the room. She had an IV bag in her hand. Dr. Harper was able to extract both bullets. The one in her arm hit a nerve, and it will take multiple surgeries to repair. The arm is stable, and you may see some incremental improvements even with only preliminary repairs. Full recovery is unlikely, even with subsequent surgeries, but she may be able to regain 60% functionality. Multiple surgeries. 60%. Maybe. For a bullet I knew full well was my fault. Christ. I squeezed her hand, realized it was her damaged one, fought the urge to recoil. That would have done more harm. If Crystal noticed my jolt, she was kind enough not to mention it. I'd rather she had instead of carrying on with Piper's recovery chances. She fiddled with the IV while she spoke. The bullet perforated her large intestine and lodged there. She's going to be on a liquid diet until it heals. Dr. Harper was able to salvage that section of the colon for now, but it may need to be removed if further complications arise. Half an hour was long enough for the bile to start a mild infection. I'm putting in another dose of antibiotics now. She tapped the IV pole, which rang softly. It sounded nothing like Piper's bell. She should be here for at least 4 days and on bed rest for a week. Whatever she did before going into that trance exacerbated her condition. A full recovery will take at least 2 months. But Crystal stepped away from the IV pole and clapped her hands. Miss Piper really is doing very well. She should wake up tomorrow. Are you staying the night? Months in recovery. Months we didn't have. A solution was circling my mind. I didn't like it. Yes, I told Crystal. What else could I say? I wasn't going to abandon Piper. I may have to leave for a bit to take care of our dog. I'll come right back after. Of course. She nodded and bobbed her knees before moving to the computer, started typing. You're such a good husband. I've seen lots who never even came in. You called her Perry earlier, right? Is that her preferred nickname? Fuck. Lie. Quick. No. Couple thing. Perry Winkle. It's her favorite flower. She thinks it's cute. Calls me Ty. Aw. Crystal gave me a smile and finished typing. Call bell's right here. She pointed at a TV remote-looking thing attached to the wall above the bed by a wire. Hit the red button on the top if she wakes up or you need something. Can I get you anything before I go? I shook my head and thanked her. She left. I was alone with Piper and the consequences of my actions. Piper was the better company. I slumped over until my forehead was resting on her leg. I'm so sorry, Pipes, I whispered. She didn't respond. Wouldn't until at least the morning. I let my head drop to the side so I could look at her face. You know, you're bad at listening. I told you not to die. Nothing. God, this was depressing. Don't worry, Perry. I'll fix this. I stayed for hours, until I knew the rotations. I had a plan that would take me to check on the truck, check on Theo, and place a call I didn't want to place, all before someone would come in and notice Piper's supposed absence. Just as a safeguard, I placed Piper's phone under her hand and set it to play a multi-hour sleep music video. It wouldn't be perfect, still better than nothing. This way she'd have to stop touching the phone to go unnoticed. I checked on the truck. Full battery. Unplugged it. Went back for a few hours. Napped, Piper's hand still in mine. Woke up. Checked on the truck. Drove to the motel. Fought another day. Checked on Theo. Fed him. Watered him. Gave him an update. Took him on a quick walk. Napped. Back to the hospital. No change. Napped. Got kicked out to eat something. Grabbed a sandwich from the cafeteria. Went back to the truck. Pulled out my phone. Checked my contacts. Still had the number, unless he'd changed it. I wouldn't put it past him. Beep, beep, beep. Generic voicemail. Figured. Hey, Pan, it's Collateral. I know you hate my guts, but I'm calling in a favor. This is a courtesy call. An injured friend and I will be at your place in 5 days. We'll be there no matter what you say. Call me back. I swallowed my pride. Listen, you know I wouldn't be harassing you if this wasn't important. I'll beg if that's what it takes. The woman I'm bringing to you doesn't deserve what she's going through. Anyway, yeah. I hung up. Well, that sucked. At least it was over. I wasn't quite done with my chores, though. Before going back to the hospital, I stopped by a jewelry store. It was an expensive gift. Good sapphire isn't cheap. Still, the confusion on Piper's face as I presented her with the periwinkle necklace seconds after her waking was worth every penny. Queries, kudos, or concerns? Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.